So hi all, welcome once again to our today's English class. And the lesson which we are going to discuss here today is Ivan tries an O-level. Ivan tries an O-level is a lesson from VISTAS class 12th English course CBSE. So Ivan tries an O-level. First of all, this story is an interesting one with a lot of twists and turns on the course as we proceed towards the climax or the end of the story. Let us see what the story is all about. Ivan is a prisoner, he is in a jail, first thing. And he is lovingly called by the governor of the jail as a congenial kleptomaniac. He is not a big criminal, he steals money, sometimes robs banks, and he is a kleptomaniac. Kleptomaniac is a person who loves stealing not for need but to satisfy their own desires. It's a kind of tendency, a disorder. And more than that, he is what he called a jailbreaker. He escaped from so many jails before, so that is why he is kept in this particular prison that is located at Oxford Street in London. Now, the story starts with an examination, the discussion on an examination. Ivan had started taking classes for German language for 6 months ago. Okay, 6 months ago he started taking German course. A teacher would come appointed by the examination or educational board would come and teach him for 1 or 2 hours a day. And this particular day when the story starts, his examination is to happen. An O-level examination is an equivalent of class 10th. So that's fine, that's one thing, but the governor of the jail is really worried because he knew Ivan, so his intuition told him that this guy Ivan would try to escape from the jail. Something told him that this may be ruse, learning German, because he never showed any special skills for learning it. All of a sudden, he started learning German and the examination may be a ruse or an excuse to escape from the jail. So the governor ensured that this time from his prison, Evans is not going to escape. Let us see what all precautions the governor did so that Evan is not going to escape from the jail. The first thing, he actually planted a bug or a listening device in the cell so that he could listen to every single conversation Ivan is going to have with the examiner. That's one thing he did. Second, he asked the exam people to have the examination inside his own cell so that he is not going to go out. The cell is going to be locked. A guard would be, a police officer would be put in charge to guard outside, and the outer perimeter of that particular wing had a wall and a lock. Then there is outer wall, so there is no chance Ivan is going to escape. So he ensured still he had this nagging doubt in his mind. So he just instructed the police officer Jackson, the senior, and Stephen, the newcomer, to ensure that nothing untoward is going to happen. So that's one thing, that's what he did. And he also made sure that the examiner is a pastor and a priest who is going to come with the question papers. He is going to be searched thoroughly, what he called frisked, to see that he is not carrying. He also instructed Jackson to search, comb the entire cell if he is hiding something, even a small pin or safety pin or something with which he can harm. Even his shaving razor had been taken from him after he got himself shaved. Only he was allowed to keep his hat on. So that is what the governor did. Now let us see what happened that day. So as usual, Ivan got ready. They kept the furniture inside the room for the examination purpose. And then after that, after keeping all the furniture, the parson or Mr. McLeary with a Scottish accent, the parson or the priest who is to work as an examiner came. And Jackson and Stephen escorted him to the cell, and the governor instructed them to frisk, and he was frisked. They found everything fine. There was question papers and the packets contained nothing was unusual except one thing. This one thing that was slightly unusual. There was a small rubber tube filled with some liquid, red in color. So Jackson was amused. He did not know what it was. So he hesitantly asked the person, "What is this? I don't understand why." The person said, rather sorely, he said, "Actually, I got hemorrhoid or piles problem. I cannot sit for a long period of time. It's the examination time. That's why." Police personnel apologized and he was allowed to go inside. And when Stephen decided to stay inside the cell, so Ivan said, "I cannot write the examination with him staring down upon me." So Stephen was asked to go out and stand outside. So the policeman stood outside, and every now and then he would peep and see what is going on. Ivan is silently always writing, and the examiner sometimes reading the newspaper. At the time when the exam started, he told you, "Write this and write that, write this, all this thing. Write the 3 number. This is your number, registration number 323. This is your sender number 272. All those he was asked to write. So when the exam started, governor got a phone call. "Oh, this is from the examination department. Actually, some fool have forgotten to keep the correction slip along with the examination paper." So the governor said, "Okay, you can send it, no problem." Then the governor got it out. Is it a genuine call? Because he's paranoid. He knew he's paranoid. Anyway, he took the call and tried to trace that number, call back, but it was engaged. Of course, all examination or universities or colleges or public boards are. Very difficult to call them back. Anyway, the examination was going on. The policeman was standing outside. So before the examination got entered, suddenly the governor got a phone call that some remand custody people has to be escorted. Some police people were asked to go there. Still he was paranoid, but he actually tried to control or pacify himself. Then Stephen got a phone call. The policeman was standing outside, and Stephen got a phone call, and inside the phone call it was mentioned that Stephen himself must ensure that he must escort the person or the invigilator to outside the jail. Stephen was happy because he's just a junior officer, and even before Jackson, he was asked to do that. He was very happy. The governor called him himself. Fine. Once the exam got over, the governor also was fine. He was listening to every single conversation, and the answer sheet was collected by the invigilator, put in his bag, and he came out, and Stephen made sure he locked the cell so that Evans is going to be inside, and he escorted him and escorted him. The way he dressed, it shows that he was like what the professor must be 2 hours of examination. He must have got somewhat thinner anyway, and slightly broader Scottish accent. So he was allowed to go outside. Suddenly he had a nagging doubt whether he actually locked the room or whether he should go and check whether Evans is inside. And Stephen goes there. He was shocked because inside, initially he thought it must be Evans, but it was actually the invigilator sitting with the blood flowing. The police came, all those people came rushing, and they could not know what to do. The person or the person who was the invigilator, he was crying, "Oh, it's okay, that guy escaped, he hit me." And governor had no idea with which object he actually hit him. Anyway, the police came, and Professor McLeary or the person said, "I know where he has gone, I know where he has gone." And because of the correction slip, question paper was left over. It was not taken by Evans, who impersonated us, Mr. McLeary, to escape. And inside was written some instruction. You take this way, you go to Enfield Street, you do that, go to this hotel. That is okay. Suddenly, governor said, take this, keep this professor to a hospital, then go and search for him. And then governor understood that Evans was smarter, and Evans escapes. That is the first part. Now the twist, what is going to happen. The governor, after some time, tried to call the police and as well as the hospital people to inquire the condition of our person McLeary, and found that no such person has been admitted there. And then he got the news that a real Professor McLeary has been tied in his home. So it was not actually Evans who escaped first. It was Evans who sat inside as Professor McLeary so he could escape. This time the governor came to his room and took the correction paper. Suddenly he understood. He looked at the 3 plus 3 digits written there. The register number and the sender number. He knew it was not register number because he never thought of writing the exams, what he called sincerely. He understood their 6-figure grid reference of a location, geographical location. That's where the governor is trying to be smarter than Evans. Now what happens in the end? Let us turn to the other side. Let us see what Ivan is doing. So Ivan was happy. He was outside and he was humming to himself. He was going into the hotel where he had booked earlier. He entered the hotel. He found the receptionist who was a blonde or red colored hair girl. It was different from the one when he booked the room. So he went inside. He was all thinking about his future plans and all those smart things he did. And he opened the door. He was shocked to see the governor sitting on the bed. He did not know. The governor said, "You cannot escape because the entire hotel is surrounded by the police personnel. Even this blonde girl is a police woman." Evans actually sat helpless. The last governor said, "It was very clever of you. How do you never had any correspondence? You never got any letters. You never discussed it. Then how you manage this?" He said, "It was my German teacher." But German teacher came from the education department. Ivan smiling, "Have you checked whether he actually came from there?" My God. And Professor McLeary was actually a friend of him, impersonated. So they all helped him. The tube had blood which he used to pour on his, on his body. And the beard and other things he used to paste on his face were kept actually in his hat. So that is how he pulled out such a great escape from the jail. Anyway, he gave up. As he was taken to the police van by the police people, he was handcuffed. So the governor just said, "See you," as he was addressing. He knew that Evans is not going to escape the next time. Then Evans asked, "Okay, Governor, I know you know a bit of French. That is why you found me here. Do you know any other foreign language?" The governor said, "No." "Then I want to study French next time." And governor said, "You are not going to be there sometimes next year in our jail." "Perhaps I won't be there," Ivan said. As governor moved towards his vehicle, the police van took off. Immediately, the police officer turned to the driver who had a Scottish accent and said, "Let us get out of here. Where shall we go? Shall we go to Newbury? Somewhere." Before he comes, no, actually he escapes again. So the police people were actually the friends of Evans who actually changed their dress, what he called, impersonated the police officers, and the poor governor did not know that. Actually, it is Ivan who is going to have last laugh. And that is how the story ends. It's an interesting story about jailbreak, and somebody is going to be trying to be smarter than others. But the most important thing in this story is prisoners are allowed to study. They are given education. There are examples, plenty of examples where prisoners are given chance to learn from scratch, as something that every modern society does. And jailbreaks are common, and there are many stories of jailbreaks. But Ivan, though he is a criminal, it is actually the readers may sympathize with Ivan more than what he called our governor, because he is the one who is outsmarted. Thank you.